Hank Williams' legacy as a geoscientist is as enduring as the rocks he studied.
He had a sense of purpose. He knew what he was trying to accomplish, and he put himself through a tremendous amount of sacrifice and dedication to achieve the knowledge that he managed to put together. And he was internationally respected for particularly his work on the Appalachian.
Hank began his work with the Geological Survey of Canada, publishing landmark papers in 1964 and 1967 while mapping the Appalachian Mountain Belt. His seminal work was a map of the Appalachians from Alabama to Newfoundland and Labrador, published in 1978.
He synthesized the entire belt, and he put rocks, instead of in unit A, B, and C, they were put together in terms of the ancient tectonic environments that they formed in. I think it was the first time that tectonics was applied to an ancient mountain belt, and it allowed us to be predictive about where certain rock types would occur elsewhere in the mountain belt. His map allowed people to look at that mountain belt in the tectonic framework, which was pretty unheard of at the time. It created and it helped spawn the concept of what we call regional metallogeny, which is effectively how do mineral deposits fit within the evolution of mountain belts.
Hank's breakthroughs came from his ability to think of the big picture rather than focusing on a small scale.
So this was the first map that took all the various parts of the mountain belt and broke it into what we call tectonostratigraphic zones.
The thinking from the more than 300 articles and maps he authored or co-authored is still used on a day-to-day basis in exploration to help find deposits. Several mineral deposits have been found in the area, covered by Hank's map. Hank was born on the very rock that would become the natural laboratory for his work. A proud Newfoundlander, Hank was the first person to graduate with a geology degree from Memorial University of Newfoundland in 1956. He earned his master's in 1958, again from Memorial University, and his PhD at the University of Toronto in 1961. His thesis took him to the Chisel Lake area of Manitoba. The results were published as maps with the Geological Survey of Canada and the Canadian Mining Journal. In 1968, Hank moved back to St. John's to start a career in academia back at Memorial University, starting as an associate professor and retiring as a professor in 1999. Hank's knack for being able to take complex information and present it in a way that his students and the public could understand made him a great educator. He was known for his legendary field trips across Newfoundland.
We have all this high technology, geochemistry, geophysics, etc., but it really starts with the rocks, and Hank influenced generations of people to look at the rocks first and then build successive layers of information on top of it. And I think that that's sort of probably the greatest educational legacy that he could leave.
Hank was also passionate about getting his message out to the public. He was well known for his entertaining talks that combined his love of geology with his love of music.
Hank would give his talk on the mountain belts, but then afterwards would take out a nose whistle and teach the kids how to play music and so on. He loved what he did, and it was really clear when he gave public lectures how much he loved what he did for his career.
Hank's passion for communicating his work to the public inspired prominent Newfoundland businessman Paul Johnson to create the Johnson Geo Center. The center is a showcase for the work of both Hank Williams and Dr. Arthur King, whose research focused on the 500-million-year-old rocks of Signal Hill.
I guess between Mose Morgan and Hank, they both managed to impress upon a poor businessman the fact that there was a huge story to be told, and you couldn't do it by writing a book, or you couldn't do it in any other way but to create exhibits and to build an institution that people could come to and absorb all the information that had been brought together.
The center on Signal Hill in St. John's is built partially underground. The award-winning center hosts about 50,000 visitors a year. It also has a curriculum-based program for grades 2 to 12 that serves 46,000 children. Hank's map hangs prominently in the Geo Center, a reminder of the man who changed the way the world looks at rocks.
I think he was driven as a scientist. That was his passion, but he was also driven to communicate that passion.
He knew what he was trying to prove, and nothing stopped him from trying to document and establish exactly what he thought was the truth. You couldn't help but respect him for that.
Hank's legacy lives on through everyone that visits the Geo Center. Through the geologists and geoscientists being educated at Memorial University, and by the explorationists to this day, using his thinking to find new deposits.